Guys, you're not gonna believe all the second and third and fourth generation of my sourdough. This is my sister's sourdough. I'm gonna deliver this spring break, but this is my mother sourdough. Esperanza is 1 year old, almost 1 year old. Look, I made it fulfill the whole grown maturity when I was doing the starter batch on February 28, 2024. So this is almost a year old, and she is my mother baby. Yay, yay, claps, yay, 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 yay. Guys, I need to be honest with you all. When I conquered the challenge of doing sourdough started from scratch, when I started back in December 2023, I thought I was about to give up. It took me, I'm not kidding, almost 2 months to get a beautiful, healthy sourdough started. In Esperanza, look, that's my baby Esperanza, which is my mother started. She has produced many, many, many more generations, and I love her. She's my mother baby. I'm not joking, I'm not kidding. The sourdough started journey and challenge, starting a good batch and creating a brand new batch is very challenging. And why it's challenging, guys? Because we are working with living organism, depending on precise condition in your home, in your town, in the day, in the weather, outside, atmosphere, PSI, humidity, you name it. But I think what is the most required is patience, love, determination, resiliency, and challenge yourself to conquer a challenge like I did. And obviously patient, because you have to monitor this sourdough batch or this baby daily for over 40, maybe 40 days, 14 days. It took me more than 40 days to me. Generally it's 14 days. Magically, luckily, 14 days, maybe 2 weeks, but for me it was 40 days. I truly had learned how to manage temperature in my kitchen. I have ensured that I keep a good feeding maintenance pattern and schedule, and to keep these cultures or these organisms active and alive. The proper feeding, it will guarantee that you're gonna have a healthy, active culture and also an amazing, yummy bread. If you and me, we're not careful, we can create a bad environment and our sourdough start becoming sluggish or too acidic or even contaminated with bacteria or other organisms that are in your kitchen that you don't want to, which will result in an inconsistent baking, and we'll call it bad bread. If you are trying to convince yourself that you want to start a sourdough started from scratch, you need to take the challenge. Take it on you. But you need to make sure that you have time, because it requires time commitment. And like I mentioned earlier, it takes several days to properly develop a starter, since require consistent feeding and many times discarding, and monitor to see if what you see is aligned with the expectations. And one of those expectations is bubbling and that your starter content is rising. That's one of the visual aids or visual signs. I live in Kentucky, which is actually right now, February 21st, Friday, very cold and icy. We are going through a huge wintry patch, which I like it. It's for a variation, right? A lot of snow out there. But one of the key components for keeping your starter or getting a good starter is the temperature. These babies are temperature sensitive, and maintaining the correct and right temperature in your area where you're storing it or you're keeping it is crucial. Too cold and the starter will be getting sluggish or watery. Too hot, it can be some bad repercussion of acidity or smell very awful because it's getting rotten. But bottom line, guys, you have to have a nice temperature in your kitchen, and you can help doing it with this. I'm gonna show you. Let me put this down. What I normally do, sorry about this mess, I just use my oven to put some heat going in my kitchen. Tip, you can open your oven minutes before feeding your babies. I'm gonna feed all these batches. So I'm gonna start this because my kitchen is super cold. That's one of those aspects that you can put in place to control temperature and help your sourdough starter. Feeding and maintenance, and even to create a healthy starter. And guys, one other variable and key component is the quality of your flour and what type of flour you're using to create it and also to feed. So I rather use all-purpose flour or bread flour. I try other ones and I just feel more comfortable with these two. But you have a plethora of flour that you can try. You can try rye, you can try, I believe people use a little bit of almond flour spiked with other ones, but I use that. And I like it. It's works perfect. And obviously that's the two flours that I used to bake with. So it's easier for me. Just a quick review. These are my two favorite flour I use. It's all-purpose flour and bread flour. Bread flour has more protein than the all-purpose flour. So you can mix a nice equal part and you can make your own flour. Yes, the type of flour you use can impact your starter behavior tremendously. While whole wheat flour is the preferred from many bakers, not for me, but for many bakers, they prefer it because it has more protein and nutrients included in the content of the flour, which that's why it's a little bit more dense for bread. Prefer. So I use all-purpose flour, but you can use whole wheat flour if you want it, or bread flour. Now, let's talk about feeding ratio. Knowing the correct ratio of water to flour is very important for each feeding or maintenance feeding or the beginning feeding. It's essential to avoid a weak or even an overly active starter. So in this content right now, you have a lot of liquids, which you see that liquid is the hooch, which is the liquid that is produced when it's dormant or sleeping, because this is going to be like some kind of alcohol release because we're not feeding it. It's in the refrigerator, and this starter is trying to kind of grow more, and it's eating himself, and that's why it's a little bit watery at the top. Is the hooch. I will explain a little bit more what is the hooch is. Well, I insert the description here because I'm not an expert. I'll give you some instruction. I think my brothers, sister, friends, amigos, I mentioned it many times, to take on in this challenge of creating a sourdough starter from scratch is a personal journey. It's an individualized journey. If you want to take it, take it. If not, don't do it because it requires a lot of time. You become a babysitter of a baby organism in a jar, literally and figurative, both. And my recommendation is keep a little notebook because you will have to identify issues and take notes in order for you to grow and learn. And you need to be able to identify some signs of struggle if your starter is not working, like lack of activity, not bubbling, strange smell, or excessive liquid separation. If you see like a two-side or too big division or divided matters, it's important to take corrective action or even scrap it. And taking notes and mapping your progress, that's how you're gonna overcome all the challenges. If you start with a reliable recipe, easy instructions recipe, you will succeed. If I did it, you can do it. Believe me, I am the type of person that hates instructions. I like just to go and do it. I'm not patient at all, but with this process of creating the best dynamic, healthy sourdough starter environment, I learned to be patient. I learned a lot. Believe me, taking notes, I learned a lot. I'm more patient now. I bake successfully because I learned to learn. I learned to follow instruction and to read the instructions too. My main key takeaway for you is, if you want to start the endeavor and journey of doing and creating a sourdough starter from scratch, be patient. One more time, be patient. Pull a reliable recipe and be patient with the process and enjoy the process. Remember, monitor the process closely, take notes. Also, keep the temperature in your kitchen regulated and monitored. If you're discarding when you're feeding, you can use the discard to make yummy recipes. I can talk about that later if you want me to. Give me a comment, let me a comment, I'll give you some recipes. And once you have this started, ready to go, don't forget to feed it regularly. Maintenance, keep it flow, keep a good maintenance flour and water, distilled water, feeding ratio maintenance. It's important to give to our sourdough starter fresh flour at least once a month. At least once a month, I will say. Yeah, once a month. And water, because we need to keep an active, healthy culture or organisms. You should be able to adjust your feeding ratio based on the temperature and the time in the year. If it's winter, summer, based on that temperature of your living residential area. If you live in a warmer temperature climate, you need to probably feed them more often. Even though you keep them in the refrigerator, you need to it's kind of required because it will be more active. And guys, just learn how to do it as you go. It's not a difficult task. It's a science, because we're talking about temperature, we're talking about living organism, water, we're talking about humidity, talking about a lot of environmental and living space factors that will affect your growth of a healthy sourdough starter and even baking. So I want to encourage you to take the journey on, take this challenge, start a sourdough starter from scratch. And if you need any help, you can text me. Well, IM me in the comment area, because I'm not going to give you my personal number. Anyway, that's my tip part today. And guys, I have many jars to feed, but especially my Mama Esperanza, because I'm going to bake tonight. And I'm going to start baking tonight to have beautiful buns for tomorrow morning. And guys, I will tell you, have a beautiful Friday, have an amazing weekend, and stay healthy, stay beautiful, and stay warm in this temperature out there if you are close to Kentucky. Be blessed. Here, Jana. Bendiciones. Un beso. There you go. I fed all my sourdough starters. They are resting, and this is my big Mama Esperanza. This is all the hooch discard that I did for my feeding. The hooch.